I always say a CRM will change your life. And that sounds so dramatic, but it will, because when you're using a CRM, you will absolutely close more sales. You'll have stronger relationships. Nothing, and I mean nothing, slips through the cracks, and your stress level lowers. That is how much power is in a CRM.
Welcome to the Marketing Expedition Podcast, an auditory journey through the latest in marketing, branding, and advertising. Now, here's your Marketing Expedition guide, Ray Allen.
On this episode of the Marketing Expedition Podcast, I get to speak with Wanda Allen, and she is an international speaker, coach, corporate trainer, author, and award-winning business owner. She's the author of Follow-Up Savvy and Follow-Up Sales Strategies, and she's had 25 years of corporate career where she held the position of Senior Vice President for 15 years. And she has a sales background and worked with sales team throughout her corporate career, and she's gained extensive training on business development, maintaining client relationships, and customer service. She has a strong skill set for developing systems and applied this skill to the follow-up process. What she teaches is tried, tested, and proven. After leaving the corporate world to pursue her own business ventures, Wanda founded her business, Follow-Up Sales Strategies. She's an expert in helping entrepreneurs, business owners, and sales professionals increase their pipelines, improve sales performance, and strengthen relationships by developing strong follow-up skills. And trust me, you don't want to miss this because she's given us all kinds of good tips on follow-up, which is the fortunes in the follow-up. So stay tuned for that. But first, it's time for the Marketing Essentials Moments, the basics that you need to help you continue to build your brand and your bottom line. All right, today's topic is a part of a 3-part Marketing Essentials moment. So go back and listen to the other ones if you want, or just jump in right here, right now. But I was talking about how you can understand what it's like to work with an agency. Setting client expectations as an agency for us has been really helpful for our clients to really know what to expect when working with an agency, especially if they've never worked with one before. So if you are a potential client that is looking to work with an agency, maybe this is your first go round, or maybe you have worked with an agency before, or you're currently working with an agency, this will just be a really good reminder for you. But we've talked about measuring and setting the stage and really doing the due diligence ahead before we even start the campaigns and what we're doing. So now I'm just really kind of wrapping it up with some of the things that we want to do in making sure that you understand as a client what you can expect from working with your agency. So aligning those tangible metrics that we were talking about as much as possible, the different types of KPIs that we can measure in our scorecard or in our tools that we use or in the dashboard that we use to be able to measure as much as we can from all of the aspects, not just what the agency is doing, but what you're doing as your brand building as well. So thinking about how the smarter goals that we've set, what the critical steps are that we're taking to make sure that we are getting campaign success. We talked about thinking with the end in mind and working backwards and setting those priorities and milestones and all of the things that we need to do, some of the triggers that might allow us to get to spend more budget because we're making those, KPIs met. And so we've set them, we've met them. We are looking at all of the different objectives that we want to set for the campaigns that we do. We are looking at all of the strategies that we've wanted to execute and target your ideal, most soulmate clients that you want, right? So some of the things that you can really help in thinking about the expectations that you have in working with your agency is obviously, this sounds really just, it's communication. Everyone should know that. But sometimes it really is about the communication and following up with your agency, following up with, approvals and feedback and giving notes. You'd be surprised at how many clients just take their time to ever get back to us. And then, we can't get deadlines hit because we've been waiting on them. And so the best piece of advice I have for you in working with an agency and working with us is follow up with us, right? Give us the feedback that we need. If we're asking questions, we need you to answer that. You're paying us, so you may as well, make sure that you're doing all the things that you need to do in order to continue keeping our relationship healthy and happy for you. And so that we can hit those goals that we've set together and we can make sure that we are successful together. So just following up on those as much as you can. The other thing that I can tell you is we can do all that we can to help you get the leads and, build your brand, but you need to take the next step in the follow-ups that occur from that, right? When we bring qualified leads and do all the due diligence and all of the different iterations and all of the things and all of that has happened, you have to take it to the next level and then follow up with those potential prospective clients for you or prospective donors or people who are going to buy from you. You have to make sure that everything is working so that you can continue to service them. And, really it's like we can bring you the best qualified, most soulmate client ever, but you got to do something about it and follow up with them, right? And then understand how you can continue to serve them and make them repeat loyal clients when they come back. So developing that transparent framework of communication is good, and that's what we want to continue to do. And then, of course, always looking at how it's going. On a regular basis, we want to look at the ROI of how things are going, what we're doing, what KPIs we've met and set, what kinds of things we're analyzing, and what can we do to get education from the people that you are serving. Your ideal soulmate clients, can we get testimonials from them? Can we get them to do ratings, rankings, reviews, all the things that help accelerate word of mouth for you? And what can we do to continuously learn from them? And then just thinking about how that data-centered approach is going to continuously help us over time. And then using those consistent metrics over a period of that time so that we're comparing apples to apples and not apples to oranges. And then really just understanding the best way to continuously work together because we're better together. All right, let's get into that interview. And I do encourage you to go back and listen to the 3-part series for the Marketing Essentials Moment. We'll also get it posted onto the Marketing Expedition community website. So you can visit themarketingexpedition.com to get more and become a member there. All right, talk to you soon. And now it's time for the interview. Welcome to the Marketing Expedition podcast. I'm Ray Allen. I'm the president and CEO of Peppershock Media and the founder of the Marketing Expedition community. And today's guest is Wanda Allen. Welcome to the show, Wanda.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. So Wanda, just give us a brief background on the history, and then we'll get into talking all things follow-up. But just to share a little bit more about your background and kind of what got you to where you are now.
Okay. So I had a very successful 25-year corporate career, and the role that I played for the most part of my career was managing departments that were highly regulated. And when you're dealing, and they were loans, when you're dealing with loans that are highly regulated, the only way to stay on top of it is to become really good at systems. And so I developed this brain for systems. Let me reframe that. I developed this skill for creating systems. Mm-hmm. Well, after I left that role, I went into sales in the bank. And when I realized how critical follow-up is to the sales process, I thought, oh my gosh, but how do you do it? How do you stay on top of it all? And I fell back on what I know how to do well, which is create systems. So I developed systems for following up. And I was a senior vice president when I left the bank. The bank we were working for was acquired. We were not the lead bank. You know how that story ends.
Oh, sure.
And so I was going to use it as an opportunity to do something different because I've been in banking for 25 years. But I didn't know what that something different was. And a friend of mine said, you should become a speaker and coach and teach people how you follow up. And I thought, what? I know nothing about speaking or coaching. But I thought, what the heck? What do I have to lose? So went out on a wing and a prayer, started speaking, and I learned very quickly that in general, people really, really struggle in this area. And that was 13 years ago, and here I sit today.
Very nice. Well, let's dig in then. What are some of the systems and processes and things that you encourage your clients to do?
Well, the first thing I start with before we even get into systems and processes is mindset.
Mm-hmm.
There is, everything starts in between the ears, right? And the primary issue with mindset about follow up is fears. There's so many fears associated with it, which is the number one reason why people don't do it. And listen, follow up work is very easy not to do. You can push it aside. You can come up with 20 reasons every day why you can't get to it. Okay, so what are the fears? The number one fear is fear of being pushy, because I hear that. What I hear more than anything is, if I keep following up, I feel like I'm being pushy. Well, you're not being pushy. I mean, if you're following up every day, yeah, that's a bit much. But if you've got a prospect or a lead that has piqued interest in what you do, it is your job to follow up. Because if you're not following up, you're not giving that prospect an opportunity to do business with you. And that's a disservice, not only to the salesperson, but it's a disservice to the prospect, because they're not going to get the opportunity to do business with that salesperson. So that's a big one. A fear of rejection, that old time fear, that 2-letter word. And I hear it a lot. I don't like to follow up because I'm afraid they're going to tell me no. Well, nobody can be in sales and never be told no. And actually, you know what? No is good. I'll take a no over an ignore any day of the week. Because when somebody tells me no, I know where they stand. I'm not having to waste my time. So no is okay. It's not a bad word. Don't let that fear stop you. Fear of not knowing what to say. That's another problem. Fear of appearing desperate. Fear of being a pest. On and on and on. The fears go. So, what I say is, please put the fear aside and stay focused on the task at hand, which is to follow up, because honestly, that's the best way to bring in sales. Yeah. Networking, lead generation, that doesn't bring in sales. It's important work because you got to have leads. If no leads, you have nothing to follow up on. But getting a lead does not bring you business. What brings you business is following up. Yeah, so that's where I start, is mindset.
Yeah, I have a friend that she calls it the F word. Follow up. Make sure
yes,
use the F word, follow up.
Yes, and I also, another word that is used is, I hear it frequently, well, I don't want to be a stalker. Well, a stalking is a really strong word, but that's how people view it. And it makes me crazy because it puts such a negative connotation on something that's part of the natural sales process. You're not doing something abnormal or crazy, and people aren't going to look at you like you have 3 eyes. I mean, this is normal business when you're in sales.
And persistency can pay off, right? I mean, if you can be persistent, it's not stalking, it's just being persistent. And until somebody tells you no, then you have the right to continue to follow up. It's like it's the wish that's granted to you to say, yes, you may follow up until somebody says no. And then even then, sometimes people will still follow up and say, well, have you changed your mind?
Yeah. I call it being eloquently persistent. Because what I can guarantee all of your community is that the one who follows up is the one who makes the best impression. Yeah. Because I say, think about it. If you're the prospect and you're interested in what that salesperson has to offer, and they followed up with you once, you didn't respond because you were super busy, and you never heard from them again, are you impressed? No. Not a chance. Not a chance. So when you have to follow up, that's your opportunity to leave a great impression, to show your professionalism, to show that you're interested. That's what stands out, not following up once or twice. And by the way, research says 90% of people follow up twice and then quit. That is not impressive. That is not impressive.
We track all of our opportunities and, kind of status updates as to when, we followed up and when, and it's true. Like if you strike all the irons hot and people are interested right away, then the chances of things increase, to do the deal increase. But sometimes it is a long sales process to get, especially high ticket or, pretty spendy or ongoing, deals done. So you're right. If you can consistently follow up and, and so let's talk a little bit more about the process that you might use or share with your clients about, how do you set reminders? Is there a tool or an app you use, or is it an AI tool or something that you do? Tell me about that process that you implore for your implement for your clients.
So the must-have tool is a CRM.
Mm-hmm.
You must use this. If you're not using a CRM, the follow-up process is so much more difficult. You're going to be doing what I call slipping and sliding, and that gets exhausting. It wears you out. You drop balls, you
Mm-hmm.
forget things, and it's just too costly. And I always say a CRM will change your life, and that sounds so dramatic, but it
Mm-hmm.
will, because when you're using a CRM, you will absolutely close more sales. You'll have stronger relationships. Nothing, and I mean nothing, slips through the cracks, and your stress level lowers. That is how much power is in a CRM. Now, for those who don't use a CRM, I'll tell you what they're using. They're using something, and I'll tell you what it is. Spiral notebook, pen and paper, sticky notes. They try to their cell phone. They're trying to make their cell phone into CRM. Excel,
Hmm.
their memory, which does not work. It will fail you. And all of those, I call those nonsense ways, because they're chaotic, and that's how that you want to elevate your stress. Use those ways and not not a CRM. So it is so crucial, because
Mhm.
yes, reminders. Yeah, your CRM is going to give you reminders. Your CRMs automate. A lot
Mhm.
of people use Excel. It's not good. It doesn't automate. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, it's not automated. It's too labor intensive. So don't, and Excel is a spreadsheet program. Okay. It is not a
Yes.
CRM. So don't
Mhm.
try to make it into one, because anytime you try to make something into other than what it was designed for, it's going to be clunky at best. So, yes, a CRM is an absolute must. It's a game changer.
And that's a client relationship management tool for those that may not know what CRM stands for, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's in what it is in a nutshell. It's a computer program where you keep all your contact and follow up information for the people that are important to you. So, for those of us who have been around long enough, I'm going to date myself here. It's like a marriage of the old Rolodex and the old tickler systems.
Mhm.
That's what a CRM is. I mean, we live in an incredible time of technology. It does a lot of different things, but at the core, it's a Rolodex with a tickler system. That's what it is, and it's online. It's you can get you have access to it anywhere, and it's automated, and it will notify you via your phone, via your email. You tell it how to notify you. It's just, you can't put a price on it. It's invaluable.
Well, and is there specific CRM tools that you like to recommend over others, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, so what I'll say is less is more, simpler is better when it comes to CRMs, because if it's too much, too robust, it's going to be intimidating, overwhelming, and what will happen is you're not going to use it. And you're going to be paying for a CRM that you're not using, which is very common. So I wish I could say this is the one for everyone, but I can't, because we're all so different. So I'll give you a few recommendations. People are always interested in what I use. It's a
Mhm.
funny name. It's called Less Annoying. And sorry.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Less
Yeah.
annoying.
Yeah.
That's
I'm,
good.
I'm an affiliate with them. So I don't know. I can get you my affiliate link if you use it, or
Mhm.
your community uses it. You get 60-day free trial. But
Nice.
having said that, I don't care if you use Less Annoying or not. All I care is that you get a CRM that you like, because if you like it, you're going to use it. So I'll give you a few other recommendations. Pipe Drive, PIPE Drive,
Hmm.
HubSpot, um, Zoho,
Hmm. Hmm.
and
And I mean,
Sightly. That's a good start. There's a good chance you're going to like one of those. But if you don't, that's okay. There's hundreds of CRMs out there
right,
for you to
there's so
research.
many of them, and a lot of them will integrate with email systems, and like Mailchimp or
Yeah.
all those different processes. But what makes them stand out? Like you said, the tickler process where they remind you to follow up, and you can kind of keep track of your opportunities and your estimated funds that might come in because of the deals that you might do, right? I mean, that's the beauty of it, pretty much in a nutshell, right?
Yes, and the other, there's an extension of following up, and it's called staying in touch, aka relationship management, which is
Mhm.
another area that's terribly neglected today. Because so often, what people do is they follow up on the prospecting side, get the business, close it, and then they drop the relationship, and they're off looking for their next new lead
Mhm.
prospect client. So you want to you want to take care of your relationships, because at the end of the day, life and business is about relationships. So as a CRM stands for customer relationship management, yes, it's about customers, but it's more. It's about prospects, referral sources, colleagues, anybody that's important to you. So it helps you, yes, manage your leads, your prospects, your opportunities, and then it also will help you manage the relationships that are important to you.
Absolutely. Well, and there's so much to be said about the retention side of things too, just as much as, you're working hard to get the clients in the door. You want to keep them in the door once they're there, right?
Yes. Yes. And, we know about customer retention. That's a common knowledge idea and practice. But, what I say is expand the thinking to relationship retention.
Mhm.
Because, as I said, it's about referral sources, colleagues. It's about the relationships you want in your business and that matter to you. Because
Mhm.
listen, time goes by in lightning speed, right? A year is gone. Can you believe we're knocking on the door of March 1st? It's
I know,
crazy.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And you may go, oh my gosh, it's been over a year since I talked to Betty Smith, and she was one of my best clients, and you don't want to do that. You don't
Mhm.
want to forget about people that are important to you. So that's another great invaluable benefit of a CRM.
Right.
Want to start a podcast but don't know where to begin? At Poderific, we don't just produce podcasts, we help you create auditory experiences that will captivate your audience. Our state-of-the-art podcast recording studio, powered by Peppershock Media, is designed for creators like you. Record with high-quality equipment supported by our expert team, and distribute your podcast across major platforms like Apple and Spotify. Whether you're launching your first episode or you're a seasoned podcaster, we got you covered. Visit Poderific.com today to learn how we can help you produce, record, and share your story with the world. Your podcast deserves to be Poderific.
So when you work with your clients, tell me a bit about that process. Like, what is it that you do for them when you work with somebody?
Yeah, so I have a group coaching program. It's kind. I mean, I do private coaching, but I have a group
Mhm.
that's kind of like my intro for those that don't want private. But what I do is I teach systems and processes for the pitfalls that most fall into. So the number one pitfall is, how do you follow up when you're being ignored?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
that's where people get stuck.
Ooh, I
And
want to know that. If you don't mind sharing just a little bit, like when you get ignored, that's like, people just like you send out messages and it goes to the abyss and you just wonder if they even, even saw it or acknowledged you or yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that because it happens all the time.
Yeah. So just because a prospect doesn't respond does not mean they're not interested. And that's the problem that that's the mistake the salesperson makes. Well, I followed up twice and I didn't respond. They must not be interested. They must have changed their mind. They must have not liked the proposal. Come up
Mhm.
with all these reasons why the prospect isn't interested when that prospect hasn't told you they're not interested. They just simply haven't responded
Mhm.
to your follow up action. So if you have a prospect that they're interested, you don't even think about quitting until you have followed up 5 times. Don't even think about it. Research tells us, and I think it's a very accurate statistic, that 80% of sales are made between the fifth and 12th contact. So And as I said earlier, 90% of people quit after two. Well, if you're following up twice and quitting, and 80% of sales are made between the fifth and 12th contact, you're having to burn a lot more energy, always replenishing the leads that you're letting go of after you've only followed up twice.
Right.
So that's why I say don't even think about quitting until you've made at least 5 contacts, 5 follow-ups.
Well, and the other thing too is so often, especially my younger generation, well, I sent an email. Well, did you call them? Like pick up the phone and like call them?
Yeah.
And, it's just a good reminder too to, there's more than one way to follow up with people.
Yes. And what happens is, this has been my observation, is because there's so much fear associated with following up, people hide behind their email, their text, or their direct messages.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they follow up.
Mm-hmm.
But the phone, for its originally intended purpose, is the most efficient tool we have, and it's the one that's used the least. Because I can cover with you in a 5-minute conversation what could take 3 emails in 2 days. And you're going to tell me things on the phone that you will not tell me in an email or text or direct message.
Yep.
And so people are really afraid of the phone. They're communicating, the beautiful skill and art of communication is lost. And it's not just the younger generation, it's all generations, because the electronic means is the primary way of communication today. People aren't even spelling words out anymore. And so, it's like, dear God, I've got it. You mean I have to talk to somebody? Oh my gosh, and people just freeze like a deer in headlights. Mm-hmm. And that is not good. Mm-hmm. So I encourage you, and people, there's a lot of lies people tell themselves about the phone, to justify not using it. Well, nobody answers their phone, and I'm going to be bothering them, and they would rather me email. Well, how do you know?
Now there's ways to use Zoom and automate. Like I have a booking link that automatically is connected to my Zoom that people can spend, book 15 minutes with me. And we may not even use the full 15 minutes, or maybe we do a little bit, but it's nice to be able to use that and actually have conversations with people with the camera on and with, people in front of them and being able to talk with them that way. Cause then there's body language that you can, also use and see and do. And that's kind of a newer way that people have been able to follow up and just say, hey, use this link to book time with me, and then let's chat about it. And then it's on the calendar. It sends automatic reminders. It's like, oh, okay, you're going to meet with Ray in 10 minutes, and here we are, and I love to use that. And I even put a QR code on the back of my business card now with my booking link. So then instead of telling people, oh, well, yeah, we'll get in touch. No, I actually just like hand them my card, turn it over. There's the QR code. I'm like, here, book some time with me right now. Like while I'm standing there, if I'm networking, and then it like automatically takes care of the follow-up in that moment. And it's a nice little tactic because now we're on the schedule, and then they have an option to reschedule if they need to, which is totally fine. But it's like in the system, their information, is pretty much auto-filled in, especially if they're on their phone. And then now we've got, at least somebody on the calendar ready to talk, right?
Yes. And you're in the sweet spot. The sweet spot is when you can marry old school with new school. And that's what you're doing. And when you have that interaction on Zoom, or you have that conversation on the phone, what you're doing is you're humanizing your follow-up action. And if you are only ever following up electronically, you're just not going to really develop much depth of a relationship with a prospect. Not in a way that you would when you're communicating with them, when you're seeing them on Zoom and you're interacting. And so you want to be careful that you don't fall into the trap of electronic means of communication being your only, because we're human beings and we need human interaction for the health and wellness of our relationships. Technology is a tool, and it's a great tool, but it's not a be all and end all way of life.
Yeah.
And
that's now I've used voice memos, or like if I do Messenger, I'll record my voice and send a message, because
Yeah.
It's way easier to talk into the microphone and share and send a voice memo to
Yeah.
people and not have to type, on my phone, which I always, typos, autocorrect, always gets it wrong. And that's been pretty effective for me to send those
Yeah.
voice memos because
Yeah.
then people listen to them, and they can also, depending on what service you use or, what messaging or however you go about it, you can also have closed captioning so people can, read the message that way. And that's been pretty effective. The other thing that I've seen people doing is sending video messages. There's several different tools that people are using there, but and so they like make a specific message to you. You get to read it or listen to it anytime you're available, ready to do so. And it seems like it's an impact because now you're seeing them, you're hearing them, and they've made a specific custom message just to you, and then now you feel a little more compelled to like respond.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're very effective. I have a colleague that does the videos, and he'll send an email with a video. It's nice, and you get to see him. I got to see him and hear what he had to say and responded. And it's a different way to stand out too, which is really nice.
Yeah, there's like Loom is one that can record. Dreft is another one. And you can even just use your FaceTime now to record messages and send to people. So
Yeah.
it's kind of another tactic, another way, I think,
Yes.
that's becoming more frequently used, but not quite. So it's still sort of the newness, the novelty of it. And so that's kind of a fun way to get people engaged, I think.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Have you played with any of those types of tools yet?
Yeah, I don't use them, but when Rick, my colleague, sent me that video, I thought, I want to do that. I'm gonna, that's
Check
just
it
it
out.
really stands out. But I have not done
Mhm.
it yet.
Well, that
Um,
just gave us an idea. So now we're gonna have to follow up with each other with videos, Wanda. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
for sure, for sure. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about where you want to go with your business. You said you're speaking. Tell me about some of the things that you hope and aspire to do with all of this knowledge and all these wonderful processes that you've put in place. Tell me more.
yeah. So I do. It's so funny. Since COVID, I speak a lot, but like 99.9% of my engagements are virtual.
Mm-hmm.
And since COVID, prior to COVID, I was on the road all the time. But
Yeah.
I love being virtual. Obviously, you speak
Yeah.
anywhere around the world, which is great. But there's nothing like in person, and
Mhm.
so I'm thinking I might start getting back out again. Like I really like doing trade shows, annual conferences, breakout sessions. Um, so yeah, and just keep teaching my message, because follow up, like I said at the beginning, it's just an area that in general people struggle with, and it pains me because people work so hard at getting leads and they fall so short on the back end, which is following up, that they're not going to experience the fruit of all that labor. That truly pains me. It hits my heart. And so
Mm.
I will give my message, put out my message. I don't care if it's virtual, in person, through my coaching programs. Anyway, I am all things when it comes to follow up. So it's really, it's just doing what I'm doing.
Mhm.
I might, like I said, start branching out and getting out a
Yeah.
little bit.
Well, that's
Um,
good.
so yeah, but that's probably really the only change. My
Mhm.
message is,
Mhm.
because it's a core fundamental in the sales process. A lot of things change,
Mhm.
but the sales, you got to generate leads, you got to know how to close the deals, and you got to follow up. Those will never change.
Right. So what are some things that you do since we're going on a marketing journey to generate those leads for you?
I do a lot of cold calling. Isn't that funny?
I
I
love it.
cold call on a lot of groups, and I get so much business that way. So I get business through cold calling, and I have two really good referral partners. They're not referral sources, they're referral partners, and there's a difference.
Mm.
And I get a lot of business from them, and I give them a lot of business as well. They're both speakers. We speak to the same audience but have different topics. And we're very strategic in the way we give referrals, how we give them, when we give them. And so between my cold calling efforts and my two referral partners, that's where the lion's share of my business comes from.
Do you reward your referral partners?
No, we don't. No.
We just reward each other with more referrals,
Yeah.
right? That's the
Yeah.
reward.
And we're very systematic, about our process and that, but no, we don't we don't exchange any kind of thank yous or,
It's just
rewards
a
or anything
common
like that.
knowledge that this is what we're here to do for each other. And I think
Yeah.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And then obviously, we have such great bond, and friendship. And it's really beautiful. I encourage everyone to seek out at least one referral partner. Referral sources are great, but when you get referrals from referral sources, they're sporadic. But it's still good, to have obviously to have good referral sources.
Right, right. So when you cold call, how do you know who to call? What do you do? What kind of processes or tools do you use to understand who you should be calling?
Yeah, so good old Google, trade associations, networking groups, chambers. I mean, it's just endless. And then you've got all over, the country, and then now you've got the world. I just called on a group in Canada this morning. So just different, where do you want to speak? What kind of group do I want to speak to? And would it be of interest to me? And then I also, I work with a company that generates leads for speakers. So I pay for that. It's not a lot of money, but so I have that as well.
Nice.
And then I will also ask for referrals here. And this is a tip when you take good care of your relationships, you can. So I always encourage everyone, ask for referrals. And a common pushback I get is, well, I'm not comfortable asking for referrals. Well, I know if you're not comfortable, you're not taking care of the relationship well enough. Because when you take care of your relationships, I guarantee you're very comfortable asking for referrals. So everybody that I stay in touch with, that I, manage those relationships really well, I ask for a referral once a year from everybody I stay in touch with.
So how do you do that? How do you specifically ask them for referrals?
I ask them if they know of any networking groups or business associations that bring in speakers. And if so, would they be willing, to make an introduction or pass on my information, and I send my information.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love to give examples so that way people can kind of think about how they can incorporate that into their own business and their own brands of what they're doing, to share and show and tell.
Yeah. But it starts with, you've got to take care of your relationships first. You want to, you need to deposit. Look at it as like a bank account. You need to deposit and water, that relationship before you ask. Before you take, because that's just so important. And that's going to get rid of the discomfort of, I'm not comfortable asking for referrals. And it's going to get rid of, oh God, I haven't heard from them in over a year. Now she wants something. That's not a good look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say to me, well, I don't need marketing, Ray. I have word of mouth, advertising, and I just, rely on referrals. Well, always my follow-up question to that is, so what are you doing to kind of accelerate that and keep that going, so that if that's your source of business, then are you doing things to help accelerate those word of mouth referrals that come to you? And, they kind of look at me like blank, deer in the headlight. Well, what do you mean? I'm like, if you cultivate that process and reward those who reward you with the referrals, right? Or ratings or rankings or reviews or any of those things that people do, then they're going to want to do more of it, right?
Yes.
And then reciprocation, like you do with your referral partners, I think that that's a good relationship to continue to build and grow and get them to do more of it, because then it can elevate your ability to reach more people, because now they're, that ripple effect of expanding the word of mouth is so critical.
Yes. Yeah. And once you find that right match, it's just invaluable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, like for my referrals, so when I ask for a referral or my referral sources, those I do give, I'll send a thank you with cookies or something, because again, that's more kind of sporadic. It's not
Yep.
strategic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, Wanda, how can people reach out to you if they feel like they want to get you speaking in front of their group or with working with you and your capabilities to share and follow up with all of those that would like to reach out to you?
Yeah. So they can go to my website. It's followupsalesstrategies.com. And it's kind of a one-stop shop. They could book an appointment with me there. They can, get information on my speaking topic. I mean, they know what the topic is, but kind of a breakdown of it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the best place. And
Is
I
there
also
anything?
teach a free workshop once a week. It's a 1 hour virtual workshop. So there's information on that as well.
Excellent. I know I'll have my people reach out to you and do that as well. Anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up here, Wanda?
One thing, I'll leave them with one tip. Make follow-up a top priority. Okay. Don't say anymore, I don't have time to do it. You have the time. It's not a time issue. It's a prioritization issue. So make it a top priority, get the work done, and you will be guaranteed to bring in more business.
Excellent. Great news, especially, if you've done all of that work to get them in the door and you prospected and you got them as a lead, then don't drop the ball, like you said, right?
Yeah. See it
Excellent.
through. You're looking for a yes or a no. That's what you're looking for. Obviously, you want the yes, but that's your end goal so that you can move on or do business with them, one or the other.
Right. And don't be afraid of that no. That's right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Wanda, thank you so much for sharing all of the wonderful nuggets that you dropped today. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And for those of you listening to this right now, the best you can do for us both is to share this with others that you know that need to hear exactly what Wanda had to say, and give us a review on the podcast platform that you are listening to right now. Go give us a review. We would love that. It just helps, elevate our ability to get this message out to more people when you give us reviews or rankings and shares. So thank you for that. And until next time, everybody, enjoy the marketing journey.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Expedition podcast. Want to continue the journey? Don't miss out on new episodes. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. Wouldn't it be great if there was one place you can go to get all the latest information and tips about marketing and advertising? The Marketing Expedition community is that place. People like you gather in our online community to build relationships with others and find the latest marketing trends, tactics, tools, and technology. We help you build your brand and your bottom line. Start your adventure today. Visit themarketingexpedition.com to find out more.